What's up, guys? This is Andrew Miley with Soundz Recording. Just making another video for you guys. This video is going to be about the preferences and the manual in Studio One. You know, it might not sound that fancy, but really in Studio One, the most of the time you're going to be spending is probably going to be in your preference window. And the manual, you should definitely check out the manual. I myself should be checking out the manual. I know how great the manual is. Studio One does a really great job in making this manual because I've checked it out a little bit here and there, and I should be checking it out a lot more. So I highly recommend you guys check that out. But I'm just gonna cover that real quick for you guys so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So, in preferences, when you're at the home screen here in Studio One, the easiest way to get to it, actually from anywhere, is the keyboard shortcut command comma. So you hit that, and boom, it brings up this window right here. Now, it may look confusing. You might not know what a lot of this stuff means, and that's okay. You could always Google it, and I'm sure Google will give you a pretty accurate answer. So anyway, but I'm going to tell you just a brief description of each of these, just so we can get this video short and sweet and you can move on with making music. So this first tab is general. This is where you're going to find what Studio One should do when it starts. I have to having to do nothing. You can have it open your last song, etc., but I always have it checked for it to check for updates. You definitely want to keep Studio One updated. They're always offering new packages, new samples, new fixing things that are going wrong with maybe their software or something. But definitely keep this checked, but it's up to you. Your language, I always keep on English. Anyway, alright, next tab would be your appearance. This is just for customizing to whatever you like, really. You could actually change the color in this window here, and you have the option of changing to the grid in the arranger window. When you're actually making a song, your arranger window, you could change all that and have your grid shine through more, so you can see the lines and stuff like that. Alright, the next one, I should also be checking this out a lot more, and I suggest you guys do the same, because keyboard shortcuts are what's going to make your workflow a lot easier in Studio One, and it's going to be more work efficient, and ultimately you're going to be making songs a lot faster. So I really suggest learning these keyboard shortcuts. And the cool thing about Studio One is, if you're coming from a different DAW, you could actually map in those keyboard shortcut schemes into Studio One just by coming down to this drop down menu right here. And they have Cubase, Logic, and Pro Tools. So that's cool. But really, the cool thing is you can customize this however you want. All you need to do is come over here and enter in a key on your keyboard, and say if you hit something like G, it's telling me that this key is already assigned to merge events. Okay, so I could either delete that from merge events and use G for whatever new keyboard shortcut I want, or pick a different key on my keyboard and do it like that. So you can really customize this any way you'd like, and that's awesome, and it really helps you get things done a lot faster. Alright, moving on. Network. Allow remote control apps to discover this. I always keep this checked, because even though they don't have remote controls, they do for the iPhone, but that's only for certain interfaces. A lot of them for the iPads and stuff like that, but you can have remote controls discover this DAW only if this is checked. Okay, the next one is touch input. I've maybe messed with this once. I really wouldn't even worry about it. But when the time comes where you do need to worry about it, I'm sure this will be the screen that you need to go to. Alright. Oh. No, I don't want to make any changes. Anyway. Alright, location. This is where... location, you have a few tabs inside of the locations tab. User data. This is where you're going to be storing your songs, you know, your presets, your media for Studio One. And I recommend an external hard drive. You don't want your computer overworking itself when it doesn't have to. And I would keep your audio and your samples and stuff like that on your computer, because that's faster than probably your external hard drive. So it'll be able to load the audio and your loops a lot faster than waiting for your hard drive to unless you have a really fast hard drive. That's all dependent on whatever you have. But the way I have it set up is I keep all my sound sets and my sound fonts and stuff like that, VSTs, any kind of files like that on my computer, but I save my songs on an external hard drive. Definitely auto save documents every 5 minutes. You can set this to whatever you want. I definitely recommend keeping this checked. But yeah, ask to copy external files when saving the song. Yes, keep that on there too, because you don't want to, lose anything in your song that you work so hard on. All right, file types. This is just what the file types that are being allowed to be recognized in Studio One. You can take time and go through these, and maybe there's something you want to remove or add. You would do that in here. Okay, sound sets. This is where a group of sounds and loops are packed into a sound set from Studio One, and they are in your browser, and you can click on them for like a drop down menu, and there might be samples, presets, sound, different things like that. So your sound sets, like I said earlier, I keep these on my computer. You can choose whatever you want to do with them. Instrument library, again, keep this on my computer. VST plugins, this you can I keep mine on my computer, obviously. But you can add and remove, any kind of folder you have customized on your computer, and allow Studio One or whatever DAW that is, you're using to recognize what folder it scans when it opens up to use those instruments. So that's where you do this. Next tab, audio setup, very important. If you're not getting any sound in your studio, you might want to go to your audio device setup and make sure you have your audio device picked. I got the AudioBox 22 VSL right now, but obviously you want to select that before anything. I went over briefly in another video the device block size. This is your samples. I said make sure when you're recording, you record in low samples, and when you're mixing and your computer has to handle all those plugins and effects, bump that all the way up to the highest one you can possibly go to. It's gonna be different depending on the computer you have, but I usually record around 128 or 256. Your process precision, 32-bit, 64-bit. I just keep it on 64-bit. Studio One has this cool thing. It's enable multiprocessing. This I think it has to do with how much your computer has to work. Now I just have them all selected, so it's working the most it possibly can in Studio One, and I'm getting everything out of it I can possibly get. So you can look more into this if you want. I just check them all. And here's a readout of your input latency, your output latency. That is the delay from the signal going into the box and back out to the time you hear it. When you change your samples, obviously your latency will change the higher you go up. So that's why it's definitely important to record at a lower sample, so you don't hear that latency and a delay, so it's harder to record with a delay. So yeah, definitely refer to this if you're having any issues. And this you can't change your sample rate. This is 44.1 kilohertz, which is your standard CD sample rate. Your bit depth 32-bit. Okay, moving on to the next tab, external devices. This is where you're going to want to add your controller, your MIDI devices, your all that stuff. Now, if it's not working or if there's an issue, more than likely, if you can't fix it with inside, of the arranger window or whatever, just hit Command comma and come in here, and you might have to adjust some of the settings. You can add a device, remove a device, edit a device, split channels, make a default, there's a whole bunch of different options in here. So in regarding to any external devices, come in here. In advanced is probably where you're going to spend most of your time, advanced and audio setup. And in here it's just preferences or options for you, for a matter of preference though. So this is for, they got a couple tabs here: editing, automation, audio, MIDI, console, and services. And each tab has a couple options for you and your workflow. So I would just take the time and read these, and as you continue using Studio One, you'll discover what works for you and what doesn't, and what you wish maybe could work. And always come back to your preferences, because it could be something in here that you just don't have checked, and if you check it, it might fix your problem. So I definitely spend a lot of time in here, and I'm always unchecking stuff and checking stuff. So automation, audio, MIDI, I'm really not in MIDI too much. Console, this one, I think I've been in this maybe 3 times. Sometimes if you had stuff loading in your DAW that keeps on making your DAW crash, you might have to do a few things to fix it, and in a lot of those cases you're going to be coming in here, and the problem might be resolved by coming in here and fixing something in there. So anyway, that's your preferences, and like I said, it's just Command comma for your keyboard shortcut. And the manual is really cool, and you can find that up in here. I just go to it from here, but I think you can hit F1. Yeah, it says right here F1. And this is really awesome. It has a search bar, so you can type in whatever you want to search for. But the really cool thing about this is, if you're stuck and you're mixing and you pull up a plugin or an instrument and you don't know how to use it, all you gotta do is hit that F1 to bring up the manual, and Studio recognizes automatically what you're in, and it will bring up the page for whatever instrument you're in, or whatever it is that the window is seeing in your studio. So if I'm using Studio One's Impact and I hit F1 to see the manual, it's going to bring up the manual for Impact, and I can just read it real quick rather than having to search for it. So I think that's really cool, and I think you guys should definitely take time and check these things out, and definitely check out some more of my videos, and I'll see you in the next video. Alrighty, thanks.